Hey, GenderqueerChat, Joe here. And look, I'm backlit, but it's not too bad this time because it's like 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night. And I just got home from like this crazy windblown trip to visit my mother. We went to Value Village, and because that truck doesn't have air conditioning, I had my hair in this insanely like tight, like super tight, like ponytail, posh spice ponytail, because the wind was going nuts, so that's why my hair looks like this. But there's a funny story about that because I once did a video about how it's very gendered. To wear your hair in a high ponytail is a female thing only. Men who have long hair will only ever wear their ponytail at the nape. So anyway, and I said I never wear a high ponytail, but I did today to keep the bangs out of my face so that I could drive. Okay, so we have lots of subjects. I'm so excited because Stacy did this list. And is this in the way? Yes, it is. There's Gender Gumby right here. I'll make him so that you can see him a little bit. Gender Gumby will share share my camera space with me today. Today's subject is, how do you think the understanding of gender will change 10 years from now? What positive changes have you already seen? How will this topic progress? Do you foresee any setbacks? I love this subject, but I didn't give it a whole lot of thought, so I'm going to do stream of consciousness, of course, today. I think things are greatly improved in my lifetime, and I can see that with the advent of things like GenderqueerChat YouTube channel and the widening awareness. I mean, going to Trans Pride was such an eye-opening experience. I had such a good time. I can't say that enough. Christina, my homie, I can't tell you enough how much I enjoyed that. Going to Trans Pride and getting to see with my own eyes so many people who are either trans positive, families of trans people, and then genderqueer. And one of the speakers actually was genderqueer, and I was practically weeping. And I actually talked to them afterwards and thanked them because I've never met another genderqueer person in real life except for these people I've met on the channel, right? And this person I didn't meet on the channel, I met through the Pride Parade. So I think things have been improving greatly, and I think they will continue to improve. I really do. I think there's just a general trend in society towards acceptance and tolerance to alternate forms of sexuality and gender expression. It would only stand to reason that's kind of tied in. I also think with the advent of feminism and stuff like that in the 60s and 70s, and how there's, more and more pay equity and stuff like that. It's not perfect, but it's on the upswing. It's definitely, things are moving forward. And also just, I think the new statistics out are that I think there's like way more unemployed men since the recession hit. There's been way more unemployed men, and I think females are like the financial head of household, and so many more. Like, I think it's statistically skewed towards females now, which is a huge change in society. Just a huge change in society in general, at least in North American culture, Western culture, European culture. So positive changes would be things like, acceptance. Like, for instance, my boss at work, she was just promoted to be the boss, and her husband is actually one of the techs with me. I'm a grade 10 tech, he's a grade 11 tech, but he's the same union as me. We're both kind of feet on the ground, like boots on the ground. What do we call ourselves? Like general technicians. We're not management, we're not special. His wife, she was the supervisor of one of the departments, and now she's the manager of the whole computer services department, and she makes like, I don't know, twice what he does or whatever. And I mean, he's not freaked out about that at all, that his wife is his boss, for one thing, which is weird, but don't get me started. It's very nepotistic where I work. But the fact that, his wife makes so much more than he does, and she has for a long time, and no one gives him a hard time about it. Like, this kind of thing, in the old days, that would have not flown at all. However, this is rather commonplace nowadays, and I think that's fantastic. Understanding of gender. So something like a woman head of household, or a woman being the financial, making more than her husband, is not necessarily related to genderqueer, but it is related to just gender in general, and how I've always perceived. Stanley, somebody's here. I've always thought, women got a raw deal financially, economically. One of the reasons I've never wanted to be a woman is because it sucks to be a woman, which was interesting because I watched Matt's video this week, the one last week, about how did they come to discover they were genderqueer. And I think they said something along the lines of they always thought about how much they would want to be a woman or based on the good things, even though they remarked that it was societally kind of disadvantageous to be a woman, and they realized that, but didn't matter, like the gender queer. Okay, okay, I just fed you, sweetie. All right, I'm really sorry about this. Okay, so I think I have always stated that I thought women got a raw deal. It sucks to be a woman. You get like make less money. You have shittier job options. Your only recourse if you're an uneducated woman is to either work in bartending or retail, which is like a pink collar, or clerical, which is pink collar ghetto, like underpaid work, or prostitution or sex work, right? Sex trades. Whereas for men, uneducated men with very little job opportunities can usually do construction or factory, and that always paid more. That's not entirely true anymore. A lot of men work in retail, a lot of people work in customer service. It is crappy pay, but it doesn't have to be, and it seems to have crossed gender lines, which is kind of nice. Things have changed quite a bit. Of course, they're nowhere near perfect, but the understanding of gender. So I think it's kind of like chicken and egg thing. I think people just, as more and more changes occur, and I'm mostly talking about women and their economic progression in society, but I guess I could take it the other way, which is, men can kind of be themselves a little more easily in society now in a way that they couldn't a generation ago. Like I think a lot of men are metrosexual, dress a little bit better, or groom their body hair and stuff like this, and it's not considered weird the way it used to be. It used to be that was a decidedly faggy way to be or whatever, and it was ridiculed, and men were often the victims of violence from other men for daring to veer off this path of manhood, and there was only one definition of manhood and stuff like that. And I think things have come a long way for men as well as for women. As for genderqueers, I think we've come a long way too, because we have a lot more societal acceptance. Like I said, for the trans parade to actually acknowledge us by name blew my mind. Also at work, I'll just give you a little anecdote. We got a new guy at work, and on Friday, the day of the trans march, Friday a couple weeks ago, he's very, very polite. He's the new guy, so he speaks, hey, are you got any plans this weekend? This type of thing. And I said, actually, yeah, I'm on my way after work. I'm going straight to Toronto. I'm going to Trans Pride. And he kind of gives me a look. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. But he's not going to say anything because he's the new guy, and he's just very polite, and he's trying to nod and understand what I'm talking about. But, it's kind of funny because I'm very open and honest about who I am and what's going on. But to say that I'm going to march in the Trans Pride Parade, probably he's thinking, what's going on here? Who are you? What's this? So I just briefly explained genderqueer to him. I explained that I'm on a channel. I said, I've got some gender identity issues, and I'm very lucky that I work for the school board, and I have the ability to just be myself on this job. And I was wearing a pair of shorts, and my legs were crossed, and I have big hairy legs, and he was kind of very cool about it. I think there was, I watch Mad Men. There was an era when this was not possible for people, and it's possible, and it's also the fact that I can say that out loud and not even wonder if he's going to give me negative flack or feedback. He has to behave politely because it's actually in our union contract. I mean, we have like an equity code, rights codes, the way that people behave in the workplace. Gay and gendered rights are written right into it. We actually have like triangles on our walls and stuff, and it says positive space. We all had to take positive space training where I work to learn that this is a positive space where we work and we are allowed to be ourselves. That's fantastic. It just doesn't get any better than that. So, and as I said in previous videos, and I'll repeat it, I work in a predominantly male environment with predominantly sexist and heterosexist and transphobic and homophobic men. And if I can say anything about the last 10 years that I've worked there, I would say that how they feel about these issues in general is one thing. I don't know. I think a lot of them have come a long way. I think the new hires, the younger guys, are more open-minded. I think the old guys are still quite homophobic. In fact, I know they are. I overhear them all the time say horrible things. However, they kind of have to behave at work. And that's a huge thing, the action versus the feeling. You can feel whatever you want towards transgendered individuals or genderqueer people, but you're not allowed to be an asshole towards us. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to mock us in public at work. You're not allowed to be hateful, say hateful things. And that is a baby step forward, because The next step, of course, is to change hearts and minds and to make people think differently. But in the meantime, they have to behave differently, and that is something. Okay, 10 minutes. You know me. I'll yap incessantly. And thanks to all the viewers who leave comments on my channel. A few of you were saying I was your favorite, and I was so touched. And I know how that goes on collab channels. I usually have my favorites too. And I was deeply, deeply touched by those comments last week. So thank you so much. And hopefully we're going to hear from Nat this week, as well as our other contributors. And great topic. Stacey, thanks for coming up with it. Catch you guys on the flip side. Bye-bye.